On Global TV News Prime, 37 feared dead as boat suffers mishap in Kwara State. Customs seeks intelligence-driven operations in checkmating smuggling. On the foreign scene, Ministry says suicide bomb kills several at Mogadishu Army Camp. And in sports, blame game, Ondo Coalition blasts Sunshine Stars management. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to the News Prime on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Queen Agaba. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365, on Star Times channel 276 and free-to-air on Nigecomsat. You can also download the Global TV Nigeria mobile app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcasts. At least 37 traders have died in a boat mishap in the Gbajibo Moody community of Kwara State. The traders were reportedly returning from a weekly market in Niger State when the accident happened. The boat, said to have a capacity of 100 passengers, was overloaded, with claims linking the accident to the overflowing river. President Bola Tinubu has met with the newly inaugurated head of the Roman Catholic Church, Pope Leo, following a solemn inauguration mass held at St. Peter's Square, Vatican City. The event marked the official beginning of papacy of His Holiness Pope Leo, who was elected as the Bishop of Rome and spiritual leader of the world's 1.3 billion Catholics. President Tinubu was among several world leaders present for the inauguration. The chairman of the Chief Executive Officer of Nigerians, the chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, Abike Dabiri Erewa, has called for a whole-of-government and whole-of-society approaches against human trafficking in Nigeria. She made the declaration at the strategic meeting with Hajia Binta Bello, Director General of the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, at her office in Abuja. Dabiri Erewa noted that while progress has been made, more needs to be done, with a call for traffickers to be named and shamed as part of enforcement of stricter penalties aimed at discouraging other criminal actors. The administrator of the Presidential Amnesty Program, Dennis Otuaro, has urged youths in the Niger Delta to promote peace, unity and shared vigilance for the region's progress as the Ijaw Nation marked the year's Boro Day celebration. Speaking at the event held to honor the legacy of late Ijaw freedom fighter Major Isaac Jasper Adaka Boro, Otuaro emphasized the need of intellectual engagement and active participation in governance as modern tools for advocating resource control. The crisis in the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has continued to escalate with no resolution in sight, despite the appointment of former Senate President Bukola Saraki and 6 others to a reconciliation committee ahead of the May 27 National Executive Committee meeting. Senior party members reportedly believe that the Saraki-led panel's endorsement of Senator Samuel Anyawu's return as National Secretary has created more problems. The decision is said not to have gone down well with the PDP Governors Forum, members of the National Working Committee, Board of Trustees, and other party stakeholders, a situation that has reignited tension within the party. Ahead of the 2027 presidential election, the All Progressives Congress, APC Northwest Zone, has endorsed and passed a vote of confidence on President Bola Tinubu. The endorsement followed a stakeholders meeting comprising all governors of the region, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, the Deputy Senate President, as well as former governors from the zone. The National Chairman of APC, Chairman of state chapters, state and federal legislators, as well as ministers, heads of federal agencies, including senior political appointees, were also at the meeting that held in Kaduna. Meanwhile, leaders and stakeholders of the All Progressives Congress, APC in Yaba Local Council Development Area, have demanded the conduct of a fresh chairmanship primary ahead of the July 12 local government elections. In a letter addressed to the chairman of the APC Electoral Committee, Babatunde Ogala, the group strongly criticized the reported selection of a candidate without due process, describing it as undemocratic, provocative, and a direct affront to the will of the people. The group warned that any attempt to impose a candidate could erode party unity, provoke internal unrest, and damage the party's credibility and electoral prospect in the local council development area. Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum says his administration is in collaboration with the federal government to review strategies aimed at confronting the recent resurgence of attacks in parts of the state. He announced this during a statewide broadcast where he reaffirmed his commitment to strengthening local security architecture, enhance intelligence gathering, and support frontline security personnel with necessary tools. Zulum says in recent months he has held extensive consultation with federal partners and the leadership of various security agencies, and the collaboration between Borno State and the federal government, he says, is stronger than ever. Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, has announced an extension of the suspension of its strike following what it describes as partial progress made after the intervention of the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo. The Deputy President of the National Union of Air Transport Employees, Uzo Oluchi, says they received updates on actions taken to address their concerns during a meeting last Monday. Oluchi stated that it is not something they cannot handle. In another development, NIMET has predicted sunny and cloudy weather conditions with thunderstorms across the country from Sunday to Tuesday. NIMET's weather outlook released in Abuja predicted sunny skies on Sunday, while it also forecast patches of cloud and thunderstorms in parts of Gombe, Bauchi, Kaduna, Taraba, and Adamawa states during the afternoon and evenings. You're watching the live broadcast of the News Prime. When News Prime returns, Somali ministry says suicide bomb kills several at Mogadishu Army camp. Details coming shortly after the break. Please stay with us.
Do you know that Global Television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch Global Television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television. Many thanks for staying with us. In business, the Federal Operations Unit, Zone A of the Nigeria Customs Service Ikeja, has warned importers and clearing agents against false declaration as the command tightens the news through intelligence-driven operations. The Comptroller of Federal Operations Units, Comptroller Mohammed Shuaibu, declared this during a courtesy visit by the members of the Shipping Correspondents Association of Nigeria in Lagos, where he noted that an anti-smuggling Caesar promised to employ his wealth of experience to navigate the complexities of the unit and bring to bear intelligence-driven operations rather than stopping containers incessantly on the highways. The Consul General of Nigeria in New York, Ambassador Abubakar Jida, has reiterated Nigeria's commitment to deepening trade and investment relations with the U.S. He stated this while speaking at the 14th Annual Trade and Investment Summit hosted by the Nigeria-USA Chamber of Commerce in Cleveland, Ohio. Jida encouraged American investors and the Nigerian diaspora to tap into Nigeria's evolving investment landscape shaped by far-reaching reforms under President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda. Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, has called for the formulation of deliberate economic policies to drive national growth. He made the call in Abuja while receiving the Presidential Economic Advisory Council, Presidential Foreign Intervention Promotion Council, led by its Director General, Prince Adeniyi Adeyemi. Here is the report. The Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, emphasized the importance of the Presidential Economic Advisory Council and the Presidential Foreign Intervention Promotion Council to work closely with the 10th House of Representatives to develop resilient economies capable of withstanding global shocks while strengthening partnerships that advance Nigeria's strategic interests. He praised Nigeria's improving economic outlook, citing Fitch Ratings' recent upgrade of the country's long-term foreign currency issuer default rating from B to B, with a stable outlook, attributing it to ongoing policy reforms, exchange rate liberalization, and subsidy removal. Highlighting legislative efforts, Kalu noted the passage of 4 key tax reform bills by the National Assembly aimed at broadening the tax base and enhancing the investment climate.
Now we can chart a course that not only uplifts our current economy, but also strengthens our role as a leader on the world stage, because Africa is a place for the global tomorrow. And the only way you can start the tomorrow is by starting today. And the only way, the window to Africa, is the most populous nation, which is Nigeria. So you see, when you work for Nigeria, you work for the sub-region ECOWAS. When you work for Nigeria, you work for the entire continent, Africa. And when you work for Africa, you work for the world.
Earlier, Prince Adeyemi expressed the Council's commitment to partnering with the National Assembly in actualizing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's renewed hope agenda. For Global Television, Queen Agaba reporting. Somali authorities and witnesses say several people were killed and others wounded when a suicide bomber thought to be from the Al-Shabaab militant group targeted an army recruitment center in Mogadishu. The Information Ministry says the attacker, disguised as a civilian, reportedly detonated explosives outside the Zero Damayo camp in southern Mogadishu at 9:20 a.m. local time. Islamist militant group Al-Shabaab, which is linked to Al-Qaeda, has claimed responsibility for the bombing. The World Health Organization, WHO, says the COVID-19 pandemic has caused a sharp decline in global life expectancy, reversing a decade of health gains. In its newly released World Health Statistics 2025 report, the Global Health Agency say between 2019 and 2021, global life expectancy dropped by 1.8 years, which it described as the largest drop in recent decades. The organization further stated that global healthy life expectancy fell by 6 weeks during the period, largely due to a rise in anxiety, depression, and other mental health challenges. Poplio has set the tone for his papacy with a call to stop exploiting nature and marginalizing the poor at a mass attended by world dignitaries, including Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance. 10 days after Chicago-born Robert Francis Prevost became the first U.S. head of the world's 1.4 billion Catholics, an estimated 200,000 people gathered to see his inaugural Mass in St. Peter's Square. The 69-year-old made his debut tour in a Pope mobile, smiling, waving energetically and blessing the cheering crowds at the Vatican. The Hamas-run health ministry say all 3 public hospitals in North Gaza have been put out of service as Israel continues its offensive to seize areas of the territory. The ministry say Israeli forces had besieged the Indonesian hospital in Beit Lahia with heavy fire preventing the arrival of patients, medical staff, and supplies. The ministry noted that the hospital was the last in the north that had been in operation. In sports, Ondo State Stakeholders Coalition for Sports Advancement has berated the management of Sunshine Stars FC for prioritizing political vendetta over accountability after the club's relegation from the Nigerian Premier Football League (NPFL). In a severely critical response to the management of the club for scapegoating the former Ondo State Football Agency chairman, Akin Bobola, the coalition emphasized the Sunshine Stars management misfired by failing to address the systemic issues plaguing the club raised by Akin Bobola. Following the club's relegation, Akin Bobola had reeled out issues which aided the club's predicament. Victor Osimhen has set his sight on clinching the Turkish Super League trophy to complete a historic domestic double with Galatasaray, following their emphatic Turkish Cup triumph. The last time Sibam won the Super League and Turkish Cup double was in the 2018 and 2019 season. And as the Global TV News Prime comes to an end, here is a recap of our top stories. At least 37 traders have died in a boat mishap in the Gajibo Mudi community of Kwara State. In business, the Federal Operations Unit 2A of the Nigeria Customs Service, Ikeja, has warned importers and clearing agents against false declaration as the command tightens the news through intelligence-driven operations. On the foreign scene, Somali authorities and witnesses say several people were killed and others wounded when a suicide bomber thought to be from the Al-Shabaab militant group targeted an army recruitment center in Mogadishu. And in sports, we told you, Ondo State Stakeholders Coalition for Sports Advancement has berated the management of Sunshine Stars FC for prioritizing political vendetta over accountability after the club's relegation from the Nigerian Premier Football League, NPFL. And that's it on Global TV News Prime. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365, on Star Times channel 276, and free to air on Nigecomsat. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms using @GlobalTVNG and other handles now showing on your screen. You can also download the Global TV Nigeria mobile app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. I am Queen Agaba. Thank you for watching and see you again.